A layoff can feel like a crisis, but it can also just be an unscripted chapter of your life. And I think that reframing the layoff and your feelings around it, and maybe letting go of the expectations you had prior, can really help you through the whole process. And I have my helper today. Like I always do. She knows when I'm gonna do these, and she comes up and says hello, then leaves. If you haven't met her, she's my Tiabi. Um, back to the topic at hand. Reframing the narrative of a layoff. I think the first thing you need to or should think about um, is knowing that the story that you're telling yourself during this time dictates your level of stress and anxiety around the life event. Telling yourself it's a crisis makes it feel urgent, and there's a feeling around the word crisis versus saying something like this is a new chapter. A new chapter, that phrase, those two words just sounds very open and refreshing and full of possibility versus a crisis, which feels like you're losing something. I think the reality is, yes, you've lost your role, your job, your income, your health benefits, and everything that comes along with that. But you've also closed a chapter of your career, and now you're opening a new chapter that's fresh and exciting and full of possibility. There's always going to be the stresses. There's going to be financial stress. We have a family that makes it even harder. I have a four-legged family, so that makes it a little easier for me in a lot of ways. I'm watching them right now. They're behind the camera, having a little sibling rivalry. Anyway, if you don't know, I have two kitties, and I'm watching them. They're just so funny. They are a distraction, but only when I'm filming. Otherwise, they lay around and lounge like cats do. Back to the topic at hand. I think another thing to keep in mind is to separate the facts from the fear or the fiction that you're telling yourself. Staying grounded during this time is so important. It's part of the narrative that you tell yourself. I think if you're realistic about it and you tell yourself the facts of the situation, whether that be sitting down and running the numbers, and those could be financial numbers. Those could even be playing the number game of applying to jobs, or how many people have you networked with this week. Staying in something that's solid really helps to keep you focused and stay away from going down the rabbit hole that is stress and anxiety and things that aren't going to serve you. It's just it's just really a feeling it's hard to describe, but I highly recommend sticking to the facts. Don't let fear take hold. That doesn't help you. There's a quote somewhere about worrying only hurts you twice. That definitely applies here. Stay away from the fear, from the worry, from the anxiety as much as you can, and stick to the facts. Stay focused. It's going to move the needle forward. And I think in a similar vein of thought, don't be afraid to fail. Failing forward is going to get you a lot farther than ever failing at all, especially in this situation where for some people time may be of the essence, whether that's, to regain their income or their benefits or whatever it may be. Let's see, what else could I say? I think another part of this is also having to let go of your expectations and in a time frame that you thought you were on. Another quote that you've probably heard is life is what happens when you're busy making plans. I think a lot of people get really absorbed into their role, into their job, as you should, to a healthy extent. It certainly is a big part of our lives, and I know so many people, including myself, are passionate about the work that they do, but it does take focus away from a lot of the other things in life that are also important, and a lot of the other opportunities and possibilities that you may not have seen had you remained in the role. And if you don't take the time to step back and really take the time to look and see what's around you, I think taking the planning blinders off, like a blinders on a horse when they're driving so they can stay focused forward. I think, you take the blinders off and you look around and you see all these different possibilities of things that you can also explore, things that you can do, people that you can meet and network with, and really just move forward, which leads into another thing that I think helps to replace the panic is to stay curious. Be curious about other opportunities out there, whether that's an opportunity to learn or pursue different certifications that will help forward you in your career and make your resume stick out and be different from other people that are applying to the same position. I think we all know the job market right now is not the best. So anything you can do to stick out is great. And part of that is being curious and learning and just being able to experiment. Again, fail forward. You really never know what's going to come of an opportunity. Maybe it's not the opportunity for you, but it is a stepping stone to the opportunity that is that's out there waiting for you. So definitely highly recommend being curious, and also, part of exploring is seeing what options you have, whether that help from local sources like career centers or from your state or the federal government even. I know they're not always the easiest to navigate and not always the easiest to deal with, but there are resources that are there. They're certainly worth exploring and being curious about, and they can be helpful. Hi, little kitten. Can't Elbra's back. She's telling me that it's time to play, and it is definitely not time to play. If you haven't seen before, she's a fetcher. She loves to play fetch. She usually brings a toy. So we'll see if she does that today, or she'll make a liar out of me. That's always a possibility with her as well. But continuing on, I think giving yourself the permission to be uncertain is it's so strange to say, but I think it is a blessing and a privilege to live in the possibility, and living in possibility is always an uncertain thing. None of us know what's next. For me, going through this layoff, I had an idea it was coming. I could even step back and say I had an idea the furlough was coming. The writing was on the wall for the way the economy and the market and projects were going in the industry that I was in. And so I had a little bit of a heads up I was going to get furloughed, just called it intuition, a gut feeling, and I knew the longer the furlough went on that I was likely going to get laid off. And because of that, I was able to mentally prepare and really, I guess, accept that uncertainty and know that I was going to figure it out. I'm capable of figuring it out, and I'm going to get through it. Life has not ended. This chapter of my life has ended. The chapter of being in this role, working with this company, working with these clients, that's all done. Not to say that maybe I don't cross paths with them again later in my career, but the current relationships and that we were in, that role is now done. So there's a new chapter, and it's a chapter that I get to write. I think at some point in our lives we all find ourselves sitting, in my case, at a desk, with this mental image of sitting amongst our life that's in shambles, just as pieces everywhere, and feeling alone. And the reality is you're not the only person that's going through this. You're not the only person that's ever gone through this. There's always support systems out there, whether that's in your network or at a local career center or a networking event. I think finding those people is really part of rewriting your story and writing that next chapter of your story. So then I think another thing to consider is redefining what different things look like to you, defining what success looks like to you. So often we get wrapped up in the idea that success is having a stable career and a stable income, and all those things are totally important. We all need to have a roof over our head, put food on the table, and support our family, whether that be our four-leggeds or our partners, our children, or whatever your family looks like. But I think it's also an opportunity to define what stability looks like to you. Of course, there's the financial stability of that, but I think it's also remembering that you need to trust yourself. You need to trust in your abilities. You need to trust in your adaptability. If we don't change, we're never going to get anywhere. We get stuck, and that doesn't progress us, whether we get laid off or not. We always want to be growing and moving forward. So trusting in your adaptability is definitely another thing to redefine, and also the resilience. I don't think it's possible to go through a layoff without growing in your resilience. You grow as a person, and maybe it can show a little bit tougher skin. Maybe it's new skills in your toolbox. It makes you more resilient. And this is the third time I've gone through this. I'm in a whole heck of a lot better mental place going through this for the third time than I was the first time. The first time I hardly made it to my car before I broke down in tears and just lost it. If you watch my other videos, I broke down on a beach in Nice, France. It was not actually because of the layoff. It was because I got an email that my train was canceled due to strikes, but that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I already knew the layoff date had come and gone, and there's a little bit more of that story that maybe I'll share another time. But it was that was my moment. Those are the tears I've had, and quite frankly, since then I haven't shed tears over it. I think that goes into the part about you're reframing how this is. I said I can either sit here and I can cry, or I can sit here and I can do something about it, and that is so the key. You get to choose how you're moving forward. You get to choose the pieces you're going to pick up. You get to choose how you're going to put them back together, and you get to choose how you're going to write your next chapter. That is so, so important to remember in all of this. Everything I've listed, it's important, but it all builds to that cohesive, framework, structure, foundation, whatever you want to call it, in order to move forward. So all that to me said, it's not a fun place to be in, but I think it's such an opportunity for growth going through this. Really reframe it. A layoff is not the end. It's really just the beginning of something new, and that's exciting. Embrace it, enjoy it as much as you can, do as you can to minimize the stress and the anxiety, and just be open to new opportunities that you may not have had otherwise. Cool. If you got anything you want to talk about, let me know. Get on my calendar. I'm also a huge traveler. If you want to just talk travel, by all means, jump on the calendar, join the newsletter, see what I'm up to, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.